Here are 4 things I've noticed about really good listeners. First one is I think their facial expressions match the story. You can almost always tell if somebody is listening to what somebody else is saying by their expressions on their face. If someone says a story that is shocking, you'll see that. If someone says a story that is funny, you'll see joy on their face. Or if it's sad, it will match that. I think the face tells so much with listening. It kind of goes into my step 2, so I'll just mesh them together. But I think eye contact is a really big deal. When someone is like looking away or distracted, you'll notice that that person will cease their storytelling or cease what they're saying. When somebody is matching with eye contact, you notice that somebody will continue talking. I think that's because the person who's talking feels comfortable enough to keep sharing because the other person looks engaged and like they are wanting to hear what they have to say. People do not like talking if interest is not expressed. And I've even noticed that in myself of like how much I share with certain people is based, I feel like, of how comfortable I am with that person, which is if they're a good listener or not. If they're a good listener, then they're gonna get more out of me because I'm gonna feel safer. Third, I've said this in a couple of my videos. If that person's story ends up getting cut off, whether that's by an interruption by somebody else or a kid comes up, the person who was listening circles back and is like, so you were saying this, and then gives them kind of a bookmark in where their story was so that that person can continue. I'll always say that this is social chess. I really think that that takes a level of attentiveness, and also it just shows that you care with what somebody was saying. 4 is oftentimes I think we think if someone has less to say or they're more of a shy personality, that means they're a good listener, and I disagree. I think both introverted personalities and extroverted personalities can be really good listeners because even people who have a hard time expressing themselves or talking can have loud thoughts and can be distracted by something else, so that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good listener. But I do think that when you're intentional with your words, and so you're not just constantly having to talk or be the loudest in the conversation, you end up being a good listener because you're also wanting to hear other people talk and other people's stories. A lot of these I feel like you can train yourself in personally because my credentials have not always been a good listener, but I have grown a lot in listening skills and I get very excited to listen to people. And honesty hour, I've noticed that the less that I'm thinking of myself, the better of a listener I am. I wanted to share those and see if you think you're a good listener or not.